Okay, and I'm guessing we are live. So we wanted to, first of all, hi everyone. Um, and while the people are joining, I guess we can already start talking about our product hunt launch, and maybe actually we can introduce ourselves. So Jackie, why don't you start? Tell us who you are and how you ended up at Bird.
Hey everyone, my name's Jackie. I'm the CPO at Bird, so in charge of all things products. And story of Bird, how we got here. I guess like Dan and I, and the co-founders who's not here, Francisco, we met together while working on a venture for BCG Digital Ventures, and then I think that's kind of like where we came across the idea of Bird, didn't we, Dan? Just building products there and just thinking like, gosh, it's such a, like, especially as a product manager, it's such a pain to report bugs. And like you encounter an error and then you speak to the dev and you just get the same question all the time. Like, have you cleared your cache? Can I see the console logs? And yeah, that like one thing led to another. We had this idea, tried it out, and funny enough, like we first launched on Product Hunt, our MVP, and that actually gave us the trigger to actually do this for real. So it's pretty cool and exciting to be launching 2 years later with Product Hunt 2.0, and seeing how far the product has actually gone in this time. As a quick background, myself, designer, initially doing design strategy, and then moving on to product today. Dan?
Cool. Yeah, I guess you mentioned a big part of DV, and me. I'm responsible for like the go-to-market part, the like talking to investors and things like these. And the like it's funny. Remember, like the original Product Hunt launch. It was, first of all, it was just three of us, and we didn't know what we were signing up for, as in like we made a few Product Hunt launches, and actually that's like a recommendation to everyone who's doing a Product Hunt launch to not actually launch your product right away, because like it's a very particular experience. And what we did is we built like a couple of like small products. Not really products even, but more like checklists. Like the first thing I think we launched was the Product Hunt launch checklist, funny enough, and I think it's still there. And I think we made to like products number 5 or number 3 of the day. Let me try to find it. But yeah, so that gave us like an understanding of what it takes to do a Product Hunt launch, and like because there are quite a lot of steps involved, and like that you need to post in like communities, different communities, and like what the Product Hunt audience is looking for. And at the time, we didn't have any audience, so like we didn't have users, so like we wanted to get like this seed audience that we can email on the actual launch day. And yeah, it was like basically Jackie and myself doing the comms and the images for the Product Hunt launch, while Francisco was coding 24/7, probably even 25/7, because he was waking up 1 hour earlier. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, we've got a couple of people on the show today on the live stream. So thanks a lot for dropping by. So of course, this is to celebrate our second Product Hunt launch. Let's see how we're doing at the moment. Nice. All right, 186 votes, number 4 of the day. Like, I think it's a hard stretch to compete with, Sidekick Browser. They've got a very cool thing, but I think it's still really good results. So really exciting here. And maybe for anyone who's on the stream who has not seen Bird before or aware of the product, just want to quickly showcase what it does. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, Dan, could you put it on live? All right, so Basically, Bird is just a bug reporting tool, but what we wanted to do is build a way of reporting bugs super simple for anyone to use. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. So you can either use our extension. So imagine like you've got this page, let's just a simple store. It's got a couple of bugs here. So some of the stuff is the images are broken. You try adding an item to cart and it doesn't work. View cart is also broken. So you can see here, if errors are triggered in the background, you get some alerts here. And you can either like record your screen, or you can take a screenshot, or our favorite feature, or you can actually see like the errors here as well. And our favorite feature is you can just click replay. And all of that has just been recorded. You get all the logs, and then you can see like these little dots signify the events of what's happened. And you can also get like network requests. So you can see into the response headers, the environment where the bug was recorded, and this neat little function we've just recently added, which actually like was one of the things that triggered the release of the product launch. All of these steps that just occurred. So like me clicking on, if I hide the other logs, you can see like clicking on this stuff, navigating to this page, all of that's actually converted to an end-to-end script template. So we've got Playwright, Cypress, Puppeteer, Selenium. So the idea is that a QA or an engineer could literally copy this to clipboard and add this to create regression tests. And then you can just add a title. This is a bug. This happened, blah, blah, blah. And then you can upload. And then the other thing that kind of like we've added recently, which also triggered the, I jumped to queue, but from here, now that the bug's uploaded, we can just share this. So you can share it publicly so anyone can open the link. So I could go ahead and just copy this and share this with Dan, for example, and Dan will be able to open it up and report a bug. You could also add some labels. You can push it directly to Jira or GitHub, and we've got a whole other bunch of integrations as well. And what I just showed you was the extension. What we have new is now an SDK. So not everyone wants to report a bug for an extension, like you need to install it. Like we designed this for internal product teams. So we're thinking like QAs, product managers, customer support staff, but we had a lot of requests from, can we let our end users actually report bugs with Bird? Because it's such a quick experience. You just record the screen and you get all this data. We want to deliver that to our users. So that's why we created this SDK. It's just a few lines of code. So you can you just grab the code snippets in the settings, and then an engineer will just add this code. And then you can see it in the page. And all of this is like fully customizable. So we've actually customized this to look like our interface, but you can make it look like yours. Same thing here. You can just record, add to cart, view carts, whatnot. Stop, add a title, description, and then you can add an email if you want. That's optional. I'm just going to add mine. And then you submit, and then upload it, done. And then, of course, this can integrate with Intercom or Zendesk if you're using these, or Zendesk is coming soon. And we've got like a couple of like really cool, neat features, which are literally going to come out very soon. For example, just now when I upload the bug, you'd be able to actually send this directly to specific Slack channels. And likewise, if you're using like Linear as an issue tracker, for example, you'll be able to send these. You'd be able to just create issues automatically and triage those issues directly there as well. So yeah, this is Bird in a nutshell. Thanks.
And maybe we can then talk about sort of our learnings or like the learnings that we got from the database. So basically what we did, we took like a sample of 100,000 bug reports. And I guess by now we probably have like the biggest collection of software issues in the world. And yeah, we're proud of that. But nonetheless, let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. All good.
Right. So as I mentioned, we have taken like a sample of 100,000 bug reports, and we just wanted to see what we would get from that data, like if there's anything interesting that we can find. And the first breakdown that we did was to see which regions are the most active in terms of bug reports. And interestingly, it's Europe, followed by America. But generally speaking, like we have bug reports coming from like all over the world. And I think it's quite interesting, especially in the early days when we started seeing this trend, like especially for remote companies or companies that have like offices in different countries. Like you can see a recording made in New York and then a recording made in like Tel Aviv. And like the tool was kind of like spreading itself within the company, and luckily we didn't need to do anything for that because people are like taking the links and posting them on Jira, Asana, and so on. And then another team, let's say you have testing in Tel Aviv and engineering in the Valley, then they can pick up, like especially if it's a different time zone, like they seem to have found this quite convenient. So next we we decided to check when people actually work. So I think we have sort of like intelligence on the most productive days, or like the most productive hours and days actually, of people. And as you can see, it's about like from 10 to 5, a bit unexpectedly. A bit expectedly. What's unexpected is that people are testing and like reporting issues and recording tests even at night, and only by like 4 a.m. The activity goes down. And this is, by the way, like normalized by time zone. So this is the actual days for the given person. And then the breakdown by day. Again, a bit unsurprising that Friday is the least productive day, but still cool to see that data actually shows that. So like even in that kind of data, you can see the productivity of people. And also Monday, like Monday is always hard. So people are probably catching up with their views and so on. And it's also interesting how actually different companies report bugs. So, for example, like when we talk, like we do user research with like very like agile or like companies using agile methodologies, their testing is constant. So you test on Monday, Tuesday, and so on. But there are other companies who go by releases, and like releases maybe like once every 3 months, and then they do like a bunch of testing. So they record like hundreds of tests and issues, and then the usage goes down significantly, and then they come back in 3 months again, and then they do another round of testing. And then, interestingly, so we have video recordings, right? And we decided to look at how long a usual issue, like how long it takes to describe a usual issue. And it looks like at least half of issues can be described in less than 30 seconds, or maybe they can be described with with birds in less than 30 seconds. And like user research shows that like sometimes people say that Bird saves about 50% of time. I think Jackie, please correct me if I'm wrong. Like we had people who said that it's 10 times faster to report with Bird. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you think about it this way, right? Just now when I showed that recording where we went to the demo page and we clicked around, that was like a 10-second recording. Imagine trying to do that the traditional way, right? You would take a screen recording, perhaps you would have to then take screenshots of the various logs. And we're talking about non-technical people here using the product too. So like, I don't know what, like me being product manager, I'm still not as technical as an engineer. I don't know what to take a screenshot of. So I would take a screenshot of every single page. Sometimes it will scroll off the page, so you need to get screenshots of that. Then you also need to write up all the descriptions. So all that stuff I showed you where we show the environment, what system I was using, which browser I was using, what version of the browser, you need to include all that information. So that's easily like 5 minutes. And we're talking immediately we're talking like, 10x the amount of time spent to report a bug. And when you consider, doing a release, a company doing a release cycle every 3 months, that's a lot of tests. Like we sometimes see spikes from one company of 200 to 300 tests within the space of like 1 to 2 weeks. So imagine like the amount of time saved when even a simple bug where you spend what, 20, 30 seconds to record actually takes 5 to 10 minutes to actually complete.
Yeah, and like interestingly, there is like a long tail. So like to actually show you how long, some of these recordings are like over an hour long. And that was surprising to us because, obviously it doesn't take an hour to describe an issue. And then we did some user research on that, and like we talked to a few people, and it turned out that they're actually recording like the entire testing session. So, and they use it primarily for two reasons. One is that in case you encounter a bug that you didn't spot right away, you can come back at any stage and see if it was there. And then secondly, they use it for documentation purposes. So again, there are a couple of use cases for that. One is that some companies, like especially bigger companies, or let's say if you're in a bank, you have to store certain types of data for 2 years. So they have a proof of the fact that something has been tested, and they store it for 2 years. And then the second big use case for that is companies like where you outsource testing. So they need to prove to their client that the tests have been performed, and they need to account for the time that they've charged. And in this case, they record the entire test, and then the company can see. And also, if there is a regression 6 months later, you can kind of like track down where the regression happened and where the code broke and when it was actually working.
Yeah, and I mean, Dan, this has been one of like the challenges for us as we built the product in Bird, isn't it? Like just how there's so many different people using it in so many different ways. Like just consider the user group. We've got QAs, we've got customer support people, we've got product managers, we've got engineers, and they all use it in different ways. But then you've got different company types. You've got QA agencies who need to document every test they record, either lengthy or short. You've got like a lot of dev agencies that are using Bird. So they have like multiple clients, and then they deploy Bird to their clients to report issues to them as they build products for them. So they're dealing with like multiple projects. And then you've got like the textbook traditional companies where they have a dedicated QA team and working closely with Jira and these other issue managers, and they need like really close integration. And then you've got startups who are like trying to be super lean, and they actually ask for like a lot of issue management features baked into Bird itself. So yeah, it's been a pretty interesting journey, hasn't it? Like trying to figure out how to build this product in a way that satisfies everyone. And I think the hardest thing was actually one of these points, because like it's so easy for us to like focus on one specific segment, but we know from experience that like bugs can kind of happen everywhere, and they sort of need to involve everyone. And so many of the problems actually come from the fact that it's quite fragmented.
Yeah, and I mean, not just from the product perspective, but also like from communication, you need to kind of find the lowest common denominator for non-technical people and technical people, because like if an engineer looks at the tool and they're saying this is not technical enough for me, like it doesn't provide the experience that I need, it doesn't provide the data that I need, and yet if we're showing it to like a very non-technical person, they might be overwhelmed by the amount of data, like the amount of technical data that Bird can capture. So it's both like displaying it correctly, but also communicating. And yeah, that's I think probably one of the biggest learnings from Bird in general, of working with multiple target audiences at the same time, and also like prioritizing between them.
And caveat here, I do not recommend this for anyone. It is very tricky trying to build a product where you kind of almost don't have a choice but to sort of tailor it to a variable audience. And it's not like a general B2C tool, right? Where you have a bunch of profiles. These are B2B tools, and people are looking for quite specific things. So it's definitely very tricky to tailor the product towards them.
But it's also like, remember when we first launched Bird, and we thought of it as a tool for product managers, testers, and developers, because we are ourselves product managers, sort of testers and developers. But then when people actually started using it, they said that it's very simple. So they started asking customer support to report issues to them with Bird. And then it's not like it was our choice to take customer support as an audience. We were basically, our users kind of like presented us with the facts, like, guys, we need it for customer support.
It was even more than that. They actually shared it directly with the clients, like these agency companies using our products. They were like, here, client, just install this. And we remember getting stories where, we have the clients reaching out to us because they've never installed a Chrome extension before, and they don't know if it's safe or not. And just like so many of these interesting issues. And then you've got, like the flip side of, like, I don't know if there's any developers listening to the stream right now, but developers, you lot are a hard crowd to please.
Like getting Jackie, like, sorry for interrupting. I read on Twitter today that marketers are the toughest audience to please or like to sell to, because they can read through the things. And I wanted to come out like, have you tried selling to developers?
Yeah, because like getting the hard tech is recording all these logs. So I think the experience of recording is quite standard, right? You just click record. People have probably used Loom. They know how it feels, but it's getting all this data, which is really tricky, and people take it for granted as well, because you open the Chrome DevTools, and it's so advanced. It's got everything. But you actually might notice if you open the Chrome DevTools, for example, it won't record the network logs right away. You actually have to refresh the page with the network logs, the network tab open, just to start recording it, because it's so heavy in data. And then we have this challenge where we need to be able to record this all the time. And it created a lot of interesting challenges where we can't record everything. Like, it goes into a few minutes of recording and get gigabytes in sizes because the network logs are so huge. And then you have to like take things away. And then of course you just get these like feedback where, it missed some of these request headers, which are like, some data nested within a certain log. And it's just amazing, right? And it's like, good problems, because the fact that we even have network logs recorded immediately is already a game changer. But it's like it's like all these, I think when it started, right, Dan, it just felt like such a simple thing to do. Oh, imagine you can just record the screen and it's got all the data. But it's like even such a simple idea can just unfold itself into like multiple layers and challenges.
It's one of those, I can build it myself in an evening thing. That turned out into months of work. And especially like when it gets to deployed to real world, and you encounter like different technologies and different use cases and different people. Or I remember somebody said that the extension crashes after I do sort of a 2-hour recording. Yeah, of course. Like, 2-hour recording. That's speaking by the way of recording, like a nice segue to the next slide. That a bit unsurprisingly, I don't know, like if you find that surprising, I certainly do. That we released screenshots maybe a year and a half ago, and then the recordings, the video recording, maybe about 2 years ago. So the time difference was not that big if you compare now, and yet screenshots are less than 10% of the usage. So it looks like that when people record with Bird, they're not interested in specific typos. I guess like for that, you can just do Shift-Command-4, print screen, and send over on Slack if it's easy. But most of the sessions actually contain video or like an animation in case of instant replay. And they're communicating logical issues. So I don't know, I'm adding 2 products to the cart, but only one is added, or I'm applying a discount and a discount of a different amount gets applied, something like this. So, like I said, that was unexpected for me, especially because we see a lot of screenshotting tools out there.
I mean, when we started, most of the tools out there were screenshotting tools, weren't they? If I recall, like Mark.io and Toybox Systems. So it's quite interesting that we thought we were, we thought we were kind of like doing something wrong by going into the recording space, because there was a real lack of products out there kind of in that space.
Yeah, we thought it would be too niche compared to screenshots that you upload right away.
Yeah.
Right, and yeah, that's that's another one. Like, especially with that we did. So it's a classic one of those when people ask you for a feature and they ask for comment, and it made sense to us, because why wouldn't you want to have a conversation on the recording itself, or like to come up to ask more clarification questions? And then we did the commenting feature, and then we did some improvements to it, like, because we just saw that the usage wasn't high, and we thought that, oh, maybe like it's not good enough, so we made some improvements. So you can now mention people, you have rich text and like all the notifications. So basically like a very solid commenting functionality. And yet only, I think, like under 10% of bug reports require actually follow-up questions. So it's great that we have that we built the feature, but it's kind of sad that in the end it's not it's almost wasted time.
Yeah, I mean, classic lesson in being careful sometimes in how you receive insights and learnings from user interviews, right? And I think comments is one of these classic ones where everyone expects comments in a product, but how often do you actually use them versus jumping into your Slack where all the comments happen and you have it all in one place? So, I mean, we like, for example, we use Notion, we use a number of other tools like Linear, but so often we would still paste the link into Slack, right? And have a discussion there because it's just a lot more visible. We want to mute email notifications from a million apps and cut down the noise. So yeah, it's like it was a funny one because building comments is not cheap. But
yeah, it's one of those. Remember when we were at BCG Digital Ventures still, we used Zeppelin, right? And we used what was the Sketch and Zeppelin. And I don't think you can do comment in Sketch, but you could do in Zeppelin. And Zeppelin is like GitHub, but for designs. So it was at the time when Figma wasn't that popular, and we haven't really tried Figma yet. And we always had this problem of, do I comment on Zeppelin? Do I comment on Slack? Do I comment on a Jira issue? And like the conversations went all over the place. And it was like every sprint, we were sitting down and saying, okay, we're going to comment on Zeppelin only, or like, okay, we're going to comment only on Slack. And then, everybody does whatever commenting feature is closer, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, like it's a really interesting stat here for us, at least. Like basically the bug reports are good enough. People don't even bother writing comments, or sometimes they write a basic description, but even that, it cut out the need for them to do that, because watching the video with all the logs and the steps listed is self-explanatory. And actually we've got keystrokes coming soon as well. So we'll be able to like record the things you're typing as well, because that would feed into our end-to-end testing templates to make them even better.
Yeah, so basically whatever features we do, like the best metric or KPI for us is the fewer comments people leave on the issue, the better job the product does. Funny enough. Okay, let's see. Right, so that's something hard to get specifically with data. So that's coming from user research. And we basically asked both on user interviews, and then we sent out some surveys. We asked people how much time Bird actually saves them. And for engineers, they said it's about 20 to, I think they said about 30, but we like to be extra cautious. So we said let's take 20% as the time saved for debugging, and it especially the time saved on communicating with the person who reported an issue, and also trying to understand where the issue lies exactly. So the unpredictable part of debugging, because like once you know what the issue is caused by, it's not always, of course, but normally a lot more predictable of like what you need to do to fix a certain issue. And then we asked also testers, so QA testers, how much time Bird saves them. And my favorite story, we had a tester who tried the product for a few days, and then we had a call and we asked how much time Bird saves them, and they said 4 hours, and like 4 hours a day, like a week, a month. They're like, no, 4 hours a day. We're like, really? Like 4 out of 8? They're like, yeah, like it's 50% faster. We're like, seriously. So that was quite interesting. And then we did like we tried to understand what would the return on investment be. So we took all of the time, and it was like in the end a massive formula, because we tried to calculate the salaries in different regions and how much time we're saving for testers, how much time we're saving for developers, how many bugs were reported, and so on. And then we arrived at a figure that Bird brings about 150x return on investment. So, I mean, long story short, it's a brainer. So if you're considering Bird, you should just sign up and save massive.
I mean, it genuinely is a huge saving, isn't it, Dan? But it's often so hard for normal people to just understand this as well, right? Because you think about it, like even as myself as a product manager, you do your plannings, you do your sprint plans, and most of that is focused on features and all the kind of like nice little things you want to build. And then you kind of like set aside a bit of a quota for bugs. But then as you're working on a cycle or during a sprint, that's when the bugs happen. The customer support requests come in. Someone goes, this is broken, you need to fix it. You jump on it, and then you retrospectively look at your sprint, and you're like, okay, we just spent this amount of time on bugs. But then you forget about it, and you're like, okay, sprint plan. Let's plan out what we're going to work on next. But I think there's this like real hidden cost to bugs, actually, that a lot of companies don't. It's just not very clear, because it's really hard to factor bugs very accurately into your plans, because that's the thing, they occur like at the most unexpected times, and they often have to like work outside of the sprints, and there's just this cost on top of the time, because like when you look at a sprint, you're also assessing like, okay, so and so engineer, you were tasked to finish this feature, like has it been completed? It's really hard to account for the fact that actually they spent half their week working on 2 or 3 different bugs, but interwoven between like working on that feature, which is why that feature took 2 weeks when it could have taken 1.
I actually saw that study. I think it was from either Oxford or Cambridge, and they calculated how much time engineers spend debugging, and it was something crazy like 50% or so, and it was somewhere between 25 and 50, but I'm pretty sure it was about 50. But either way, I mean, me as a product manager working like in the industry for, I don't know, like 10 years, probably more, I never knew that engineers spent that much time on these things, like, because you always think of working as you're developing features and you're releasing them, and that's about it. And with bugs, we even some time ago we even wrote an article if you should estimate bugs, because I mean, first of all, there is a huge discussion in the community of whether you need to estimate features in the first place, and how do you estimate, like, is it poker, is it t-shirt sizes, whatever. But then if you multiply that by a factor of like 3, that would be about the size of a discussion whether you should estimate bugs or not, because they are sometimes even less predictable than features. I mean, depends on the feature, of course, but nonetheless.
Quick check-in. As you can see, there's a banner to check us out on Product Hunt, because again, we're doing this live stream for Product Hunt, and we are almost at the 200 vote mark. So yeah, if anyone's listening and you haven't upvoted, yeah, please give us a quick vote, or share it with someone who might be interested in the product.
Yeah, and maybe, so it's very easy to do, very easy. You just need to go to Product Hunt. It's producthunt.com. And then because we're number 4, there's not a lot of scrolling you even need to do. You can just click and then you say upvote, and that's it. Like if you do this, you've every upvote,
Yeah.
I think we calculated at some stage that every upvote gets rid of 1,000 bugs in the world. So the best thing, it's like climate change, wars, and bugs. So this is
Wait,
roughly
I
the
think we just hit 200. Amazing.
humanity problems.
Awesome.
Refresh.
So let's
Yes.
let's talk about the Product Hunt launch a bit as well, actually. So for anyone who's interested in doing their own Product Hunt launch or planning to launch it, this one's been quite a journey, hasn't it, Dan? It's been a bit more involved because we've got the pressure of making sure we beat our first one, where we got 5th product of the day, and got a huge usage uptick from that as well. But I think this one has been a lot more strategic than the first one, where we were fumbling. So you already mentioned in the start of the live stream, Dan, you said, don't just launch straight away with your product. Try some test launches. For example, we launched a checklist on how to launch on Product Hunt, and that actually did really well on the day, and that gave us like a lot of feedback on how to launch, essentially. And then we did like our proper launch, and you already had like a couple of techniques fine-tuned. Maybe you can share a bit about what these things are.
Yeah, I think the most important is timing. So if you do badly in the first hour or two, it's really hard to get on top throughout the day, because if people go on Product Hunt, then they open this page. If you're not above the fold, like how many people will scroll? So like it's exponentially harder to get to the top 5. Like if you don't do well in the first couple of hours. So you need to basically message everyone, like your friends. I think we messaged also the investors that we've spoken with. You need to be active in the communities, like in the respective communities, and then also you cannot just shamelessly self-promote. So you need to give as much as you take. So you can incentivize people, with discounts, and of course be grateful, ask for feedback. One rookie thing that never ask for upvotes on Product Hunt. So this is strictly, at least like if you read about Product Hunt, we don't know what goes into the algorithm, right? But generally speaking, Product Hunt doesn't like when people ask like bluntly for upvotes, because this is not in the spirit of Product Hunt, and like it doesn't help to get better products to be discovered. And I think you should spend like, at least you should start preparing like 2 to 3 weeks in advance, because you need to have like a lot of things ready. Like you need to have the assets, you need to potentially have a video, you need to have like all of the mailing list, the communities where you want to post. And then we did like a massive list of places where we need to post on the day, and also like spread out throughout the day. And then we just go one by one. Like for example, it says like message friend 1 on Facebook, message friend 2 on LinkedIn, and so on. And then we just say that it's done. And by the end, hopefully you've messaged everyone, you've abused everyone's time, and people helped you out. And then when people land on Product Hunt, they will see your product and be able to check it out, and hopefully find useful, upvote, share. And while I was speaking, we had 7 upvotes. Nice. So I mean, it's quite an experience, and like you should don't drink coffee on that day, because there's going to be enough excitement from the page every 15 seconds and seeing what number you're currently, and especially benchmarking. Like in our case, we're a B2B product, and like a pretty specialized one. So it's quite surprising that we made to product number 4 of the day so far. But then you're constantly looking at similar companies and like how they're doing, and when they get an upvote, you're like, oh guys, like we need 2 more upvotes, and so on. So that's a very intense day.
Wait, one second. We just have a question. Sorry to interject, Dan. We've got a question from Bojan. when will End-to-End Helper be out of beta, and is it replicating Framework's own code generators, or do you use your own logic of getting the locators? So at the moment, I believe there is a combination of, I think we're using our own logic to set up the locators. It's actually coming out of beta very soon. You might have seen in other comments where one of our engineers, he's literally just polishing the keystrokes recording right now. And I think once we have keystroke recordings, we're going to push it out of beta, because that was a missing ingredient. Because without recording keystrokes, when you set up a test template, it's just kind of like having some gaps in the steps and the user experience flow. So yeah, once we have that, it will come out. But the idea for us to start with, though, is this is a template. It's just trying to make the process way easier, because right now, we've tested this internally when we write end-to-end tests as well. Like our QA, our manual QA would be doing all the tests and doing the recordings, and the ones that they think should go into regression would just be, they will just forward that session to our automation engineer, who will then take the script and use that as a building block, and it saves a lot of time. But so coming out of beta, yes, and then we're going to continue improving this. Ideally, the next step for us is getting it to the point where you could just run this test. I mean, there might be some testing infrastructure required in the background, but ideally it's got all the kind of essential building blocks where you can just run the test. Of course, to make it like a validated test, you'll probably need to add some assertions and stuff to it. But that's why we have the option where you can just download the code or copy it. And we'll probably add the option soon where you can edit the code a little bit. Next stage in the pipeline would be actually integrating with some cloud running platforms so that you can just push the test directly to be run. But stay tuned, that's kind of a bit further ahead. Dan, sorry, because I interjected you on the product hunt thing. The only other comment I wanted to make on the product hunt journey was that it's actually an amazing place for launching a product and sort of acquiring your really early stages users, because we have some of our paying users right now actually were people who found out our tool like on Product Hunt, our first launch. That's just like amazing. You just get these like amazingly loyal users who are really genuinely excited about what you're doing, and yeah, supporting you along the way and giving you feedback along the way. So, if you have a product, you're ready to launch it, and you're just thinking like, how can I get some users to get started? Product Hunt is this place where you just get a lot of these kind of kindred minds and people who are just genuinely excited about new things and willing to try many new things, and would go out of their way to actually give you feedback and suggestions on way to improve it. So yeah, like the way I would say, like how Bird came to become the product is today, a lot of it comes from the insights we got from these early set of users. And yeah, it's a really quick way to also like validate, do you have something? Because you're going to have lots of people going on Product Hunt, congratulating you, saying super nice things. But then the day after, that's when the real test begins. Like, okay, these people have signed up, they've tried your product, they've said very nice things. Are they using it again? Are they signing up again? 1 week later. And I think that's where we got our learnings on whether Bird was a product that is worth pursuing, because we didn't just see the uptick during product hunts. We also saw that kind of like gradual growth from that same base of users, because it was the first launch. We weren't doing any other forms of marketing. So we know that everything was coming from and growing from product hunts.
Yeah, I think we had about 600 or 700 installs. At the time, we only had the Chrome extension. So we didn't have support for other browsers, and we didn't have the SDK. And we had 600 or 700 installs for the Chrome extension. And funny enough, I mean, we launched an MVP. And when I say MVP, or some people say the minimal lovable product, I guess would be the better way to describe what we had at the time. But we didn't have a way to sign in. So you would upload a bug report, and you can send a link, but you cannot delete it, you cannot edit it, and there's just a video recording and console logs. Video recording is not, as Jake has already mentioned earlier, video recording is not the trickiest part, but getting the logs from the browser is way trickier. But nonetheless, and I think that's funny enough, the fact that we didn't have sign up actually helped us, because it was so easy to try the products. You literally just install, and then you can get going. So you don't need to go through the sign up process and so on. So that's maybe a top tip.
I miss those days. I miss those simple days where we don't have to worry about sign up or anything, and people just get a pure experience of trying the product. I remember actually getting quite a bit of anger when they had to then sign up.
to manage all of my recordings are now safely stored, and I can help them. But yeah, nonetheless. But do bear in mind, by the way, speaking of Product Hunt launches, that you can really only launch once every 6 months or so. So it's not that you can launch every day, and then if you failed one launch, then you can go next week and do another one, because probably Product Hunt will not allow that. As in, it looks like they have community managers who are looking out for those things. So it's a careful balance between launching too late and launching too early, and how careful you think about the Product Hunt launch, and also the fact that you do badly on Product Hunt doesn't mean that the idea is not viable necessarily, because again, Product Hunt is a particular audience, and you should not be encouraged or discouraged by Product Hunt. I would say this is a marketing channel. It's not a validation for. It doesn't mean that you're going to be a billionaire or not going to be a billionaire, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it very much depends on the type of products you have, isn't it? Because you can see kind of in the launches today and launches in the previous days, certainly certain products have a bit more generate a lot more excitement because they sound really cool. Do those products, how many of these actually go on to succeed and retain the users is a question mark. I don't know, but
yeah,
it's dangerous to assume that just because you rank highly means you've kind of succeeded. But anyone who's building a business who's listening here probably knows it's a marathon to build a business anyway. So.
I actually think that a lot of people upvote products right from this page where you see all the products, so they don't actually go to check out your product or even listing. And as long as the idea sounds interesting, that they will upvote. So that's a blessing and a curse, depending on what kind of product you have. Maybe actually, so whoever's listening, guys, check out our video on Product Hunt. And the reason I'm saying this is because, first of all, Jackie, who you see on the screen, has created this video, and it was not necessarily planned that way. But maybe, Jackie, you can speak about how you hacked the video.
Yeah. I think this is actually testament to software in the general, how easy it is to create stuff compared to it was in the past. So when we did our first Product Hunt launch, it was just a simple recording, a screen recording where Dan's head was in a bubble on the side, like a Loom style recording, and he just demoed the product. But this is version 2, and we're a more established company now. We need to do things we can't do things in such a scrappy startup way. So we need to build a proper video. We spoke to a couple of people out there. There's lots of animators and stuff. One quoted 10K for this 40-second video, but that's kind of beyond our budget and also beyond our timelines. We literally had a week to go. So we just created the recording, the animations purely out of Figma. So if you've got any designers in your team already using Figma, their prototyping animation functionalities are just amazing. Of course, it's not going to give you the super level of granularity you need compared to After Effects, but you can see my example to see what's actually possible just through a combination of Figma, making the prototypes, and then using iMovie to cut up the frames and then kind of like piece it together with some music. So if like essentially both of these options are free, it just takes a bit of time. But yeah, it kind of worked out in the end, didn't it, Dan? Because we were panicking a bit because we didn't want to do the scrappy video, but it felt like an impossible feat to actually produce a decent video in a short amount of time. But turns out this is where, technologies like Bird, which just makes things a lot quicker. We're seeing the same thing across the board, whether it's these tools like Vercel, which just lets you deploy things with a few clicks, and now like Figma, which has just taken away the magic, the effort required to animate and do simple animations. Good job for Adobe for buying that, because they're definitely encroaching on their space.
Yeah, I mean, originally Jackie wanted to do just the storyline in Figma, but then when we looked at how it looks like, everyone said like, "Oh wow, like this is pretty much a ready-made video." Like it's better than we could hope for, and I mean certainly better than I think a lot of people in Fiverr would do, especially with a small budget. So yeah, that said though, please don't message Jackie to produce videos. We still need Jackie to do work on Bird.
So we've got about 9 minutes left. It's been fantastic actually, just talking through the process with Product Hunt and sharing the product. Sorry to anyone who joined in late and didn't get to see the demo earlier on. So I just wanted to wrap up with a few remarks on sort of where's next for Bird, because this launch for us is quite an important one. It's quite a milestone, because up until now we've been quite focused on product teams. We've had the browser extension, which is now supported in all Chromium browsers, and then we've kind of like got that kind of workflow down for reporting bugs. And then with the SDK, we're really sort of responding to user requests in extending the bug reporting capability to all end users in any production app. And it's an interesting space for us because, everyone's got Intercom or Zendesk, all these chat widgets available. And what we're trying to do is not really replace them. We believe our solutions are complementary. So you're using Bird for like internal product tools, just extend this to your customer support side. Most cases nowadays, what we see is people have these support menus. It used to be just like a chat bubble, but there's just a lot more stuff involved now in support. You have FAQ pages, you've got your chat. A lot of companies actually have these dedicated bug reporting terminals already. So Bird is really either a replacement or addition to that. And because when you report a bug via the SDK, it can be sent automatically to your Intercom, your Zendesk. So all the kind of like bug reports will be centralized with your customer support team anyway in that regard. So we're working on that, and then we're trying to extend automations after the bugs are reported to our integration. So like I showed it in the beginning, you can soon have a customer upload a bug, and depending on which location they upload to, it would automatically get forwarded to a specific Slack channel. We have a customer support channel in Slack, or it can go straight to the triage box for Jira or Linear. Jira coming soon. So that's kind of like one of the big milestones we've reached with Birdie's Bug 2.0. The other one is, as Bojan also mentioned in a question, the end-to-end helper. That's our foray into testing, because what we see is, manual testing is a super important part of the QA process, but not the only one. There's also a lot of movement into automation testing, and we believe that these things have to work together, because most of the time regression tests are created through manual QAs actually testing the product first and defining what the test cases are. So we want to ease that kind of handover in that process. So we're going to continue building on that. The first step for us is really get the templates to the point where they are so good that you can just run them. So of course it will be missing the assertions to validate whether the test is pass or fail. But literally, if you just recorded a bunch of steps where, I don't know, you logged in, you kind of created something, deleted something, we want to be able to record that in a script that you can just run and it can replicate those actions. So that's really our first goal. And then from that point on, it would be a case of being able to then push this into your testing infrastructure, either in a cloud-based one or just downloading the script itself and making use of it directly. So yeah, exciting times for Bird. Like I think we've got two kind of like big areas that we're going to be expanding and growing in the coming months. So excited to share the new developments in the coming months.
To add to that, we've also recently, just a couple of weeks ago, received the SOC 2 security attestation. So that was months in the making. And basically that means, I mean, for us, it's months in the making. For you guys, it's peace of mind that if you use Birds, we take security seriously. And it means that a third party attestation company, so like an auditor, looked into our code, into our infrastructure. We also had the penetration test, meaning that somebody was trying to basically break into our products and they couldn't. So that's secure. So if you use Bird, your data is in good hands. But also, if this is not enough for you, you can contact us and we'll try to figure out a self-hosted solution for you. So that's coming. But if you want to be a beta tester, we're happy to get that. And like we're almost at an hour, so I guess to wrap up, the most important thing, well, first of all, hopefully you enjoyed me and Jackie just talking about like we normally do. I don't remember us talking for an hour to each other. That's probably the longest we've talked to in quite a while. But most importantly, please go to Product Hunt, find Bird, upvote, and after you've done that, you can also check out other products. And I mean, Product Hunt is a great tool, great community, and we hope to see you all in using Bird. So Jackie, maybe a couple of words from you.
You said everything I need to say, Dan. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for everyone. Hope you enjoyed our musings and ramblings for an hour, and maybe you got something out of it. Yeah, if there's anything you're interested in, any other questions, feel free to private message us on LinkedIn, or if you were to just even ping us in the app via the support channels, report a bug to us. Dan and I are watching this, so we'll be happy to respond to any questions you have, be it Product Hunt launches or bug reporting, or even like how to deal with the minefield of SOC 2 certification. So yeah, thank you very much, and click the link, check out Product Hunt, please upvote to us or share it, and wish everyone a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Ciao.
Ciao.